What's up? What's up? Grace and peace to you guys. My name is Keaton Cole, also known as KK, and I'm here to share with you that I'll be starting a YouTube channel called The Transition. Now, before I dive in and tell you what I'll be doing, let me give you a little background as to why I'm doing this. As a former athlete, playing basketball predominantly for a large part of my life, um, with grand aspirations to one day make it into the NBA and play against the greats. Um, and if that wasn't the case, make it to the professional leagues out in Europe and showcase my talent and compete at a high level. Um, I'm thinking of that young athlete, that young aspiring athlete out of high school, trying to make a name for themselves, trying to get out of their community, earn a scholarship to the NCAA perhaps, and one day hear their name being called by the commissioner of the NBA, and they can make their dreams come true. Now, we know that there's a lot of dedication and hard work and sacrifice that goes into perfecting one's craft and trying to be the best that one could be and playing at a high level. But there's so much more to the person than there is to the talent. Now, we understand that the journey is long and exhausting, and there's a lot of ups and downs and obstacles that one has to achieve and overcome. And so this is what I want to do. I want to tap back into my community and capture their journey and highlight those successes along the way. You see, there's so many decisions that were made in the transition of life that one had to take, and what were their circumstances like during that period of time? What were their family circumstances like? What were their basketball scenario was like? Why did they choose to go to this university over that university? So I'm going to be embarking on a fun journey, tapping into the lives of those athletes that I know and perhaps will meet along the way, and interview them in hopes that that young aspiring athlete growing up could tap into this channel and kind of learn and glean from current, former athletes that had high aspirations, high dreams to make it one day into the NBA and perhaps playing professional basketball elsewhere throughout the world. So my only ask is for you guys to join in, come along with me, like, subscribe, and let's have fun and watch these interviews, and hopefully you can grasp and learn and take some gems away, so that you can use in life. So I appreciate you. Take care. Peace and love. All right, all right. Welcome to The Transition. Chretien Lukusa, how you doing, man?
KK, what's up, man? How you doing? Everything's good on this side.
All is well on my ends. Well, listen, we're gonna do a little fun activity. So I have some stuff for you here. It might be a little emotional roller coaster, or something a little fun. So let's start off with let's go here. So you're gonna give me at least a sentence or one word with what you see here.
Oh wow, that's a classic one right there. No, that was I think the Christmas classic, holiday classic at Jarvis.
Yep.
Might have been our first loss. DeVoe went crazy. I remember that. I remember that tournament.
DeVoe
That one
Joseph.
stung. That one stung, man. That's the guy right there. But good times, man. Great times.
This
Great
actually
times.
brings like really sad emotions out of me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm very torn by this moment here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I feel the same way. Those right there was obviously a lot of expectations on us to win our own tournament. And they
Sure.
came in there and they kicked their ass pretty good too. So
Pretty sure. All right, let's go with
oh man, young buck, man. But really, like we right there, I think that's a lot of grind right there. When I think about that image, like that time in high school, I think I was already committed to college there, committed to Binghamton there, and just wanted to go out with a chip. We were think I don't know where that is. Um, but it's definitely after a win. I could tell. I know that much. We didn't do too much losing.
It's the young Chretien, huh? The young
Young
bull.
right there. Yes, sir.
All right, let's see here. What we have.
Yeah, no, this is a good image too. I remember this. This was the Toronto Star like all city team. My senior year of high school. Obviously, you got Andrew all the way to the left. You know, obviously went on to have a big time career
Oh,
at St. Bonaventure, and then eventually, become drafted in the NBA. And now he's doing a bunch of great things, venture capitalism and all that kind of stuff. Some great stuff. Curtis, who was a problem, he was a wide low. We played on the junior national team together as well. And he was, obviously a good player. DeVoe was a problem in the city. Went on to play at Minnesota and Oregon, and he was continuing to do really good things overseas now. And it was great to kind of see all those guys how they've kind of evolved, from when we were younger. And then you got Jason, big fella,
Jason.
all the way to the right, played at Portland. Had a professional career as well. So you got me there as well, making me look like I'm 6'7", 6'8". I wish I might have been in the league if I was that height, but nah. But it was a fun experience. And it was good all in all.
Beautiful. Got one more for you.
Okay.
Got one more for you.
Classic images, classics.
There we go.
This right here is probably my favorite picture you showed. Like that right there is where we established ourselves as basketball players in that gym, that little dungeon, no 3-point shot in the corner, wooden backboards, and a lot of championships. Like those banners right there is just a piece of what we won. We won so many. We had so many, you had to put them all on one banner, right? And I think when you walked into that gym, there was an expectation of excellence, and that you had to give yourself and put your ego aside. The ones who were able to do that had great careers, and the ones who weren't able to do that just couldn't cut it. I remember my grade 9 year. Okay, you weren't there yet, but my grade 9 year, walking into that gym to watch the senior tryouts, and there was literally 90 people trying out for maybe 2 spots. 90 people trying out for maybe 2 spots.
90.
So yeah, it was packed for 2 spots because they knew who the guys were on the team already. And it was just the name Eastern Commerce meant so much and continues to mean so much in the city, in the province, in the country. And if it was feared, I don't care what anybody says, when you're like, man, we got to go up against Eastern, you could tell yourself you were excited, but deep down, you knew you more than likely was going to get your ass kicked. So, but I need that picture. I need you to send me that. That right there is
for sure.
I gotta frame that. That has to go up in the house.
Huge. I'll put something in perspective here, because regular court is about 94 feet almost.
94 feet. Yep.
According to this picture, if you see the half court, if you just take 1 or 2 steps past the half court line on either sides, you're basically at the 3-point line.
At the 3-point line, yeah. It was tiny. It was a box. I don't think there was no air conditioning in it. It's like it was but you could go in there and you were getting the greatest bump. Like that was good basketball. That picture right there, man, legendary. I need that image. That's great.
A box, brother. Oh man, that was when I see that picture, it just brings back a lot of memories of
17s. Oh,
17s.
That's my first introduction to 17s.
Coach Rana, doing his thing, giving us the biz. Man, so much memories and just simply like tradition. You know what I mean? Like we have a lot of alumni that came out of Eastern Commerce that we could definitely attest to their success as well. And so I'm happy to know that you're a part of that tradition. And,
Yeah.
you know, you have a story to tell, which I'm here to help highlight. So as we move forward, before we go, I want you to, what would you say to this? If I say, Chretien, off the court, you graduated in a bachelor's degree with sociology, a master's degree in student affairs administration. You had 7 years of coaching with Morgan State, 3 with Binghamton University, your alma mater. Now you're an associate head coach. Your strengths that you bring to the table: recruiting, player development, experience from a player's perspective, and now you have the coaching aspect of it. You know, you're now a husband to your lovely wife Ivana, and a father to 2 beautiful children, Amelia and Zakai. On the court, you obviously were a superstar at Eastern Commerce Collegiate Institute. One of, you know, you could put your name on a banner in the wall because you know, brought so much championships to that school and a tradition that can last forever. You, in 07 to 2011, you were actually in the record books for the second most played games, capping at 116. So you're in the record books. You are a major contributing factor in advancing to the March Madness in your senior year. I think senior or junior year, one of those years.
That was actually my sophomore year.
That was your sophomore year, early on. I remember so many stories you shared with me with that team in and of itself. There was just like lots of ups and downs throughout that season. But man, you were able to make it to the March Madness, which is a great feat for anybody actually going through the college route in the NCAA. Finally, you not only played on the junior men's Canadian national team, but you were also a captain along with DeVoe Joseph and others. To this synopsis of a resume and your body of work, what do you say?
Yeah, man, I think it's so far. I feel like I'm so early in my journey in terms of where I am right now, but you know, I think I've been fortunate enough to have great friends, great teammates, great mentors, obviously great parents, siblings who've kind of been there along the way with me, along the journey, and kind of helped me along the way, and been there as moral support, physical support, everything, kind of, you know, mental support, and it's kind of helped me along the process. And I think it's the foundation is a lot of the reason why I've been able to continue to advance and keep my mind on the task at hand and just be able to work towards completing it. Whether it's, you know, having the determination to go to Eastern and make the Bantam team, then the junior team, then be on the senior team, wait my turn, and then start, and then be all city. Like, I think that it takes a certain amount of determination to kind of, you know, not look for that, you know, instant gratification, but kind of work along the way and maybe not see the success, but know that if you put the work in, that you know, you'll eventually experience it. And I was able to carry, you know, my experiences in high school and then bring that to, you know, college. You know, college, come in, you know, freshman year, didn't play the first 6-7 games of my freshman career. Just didn't have the coach's trust yet, right? And then you got one opportunity, and I showed up. And then from there, I started pretty much the rest of my career. And I think it's just like being able to just keep grinding and keep focusing and just, you know, having that work mentality and stick-to-itiveness approach. I think those are some of the things that have helped me. And then, you know, you go on and eventually I stumble into coaching, right? I've obviously had the opportunity to have great coaches along the way, from Dwayne Spencer to, you know, Donnie Williams to, you know, Kevin Jeffers to Roy Rana, you know, to Trevor Bullen to that. So we've been fortunate to have some fantastic coaches along the way. and then just kind of seeing how they were, how they got the most out of their players, and then now being able to incorporate some of those lessons I picked up, those tidbits, and now incorporated into my coaching philosophy, how I try to be with our players, how I try to maximize whatever they have to give. I think a lot of those things are the reason why I could, I've been fortunate to have really good people along the way to kind of help me throughout this process.
Absolutely. You mentioned something in that about, your freshman year being like, it was like the first maybe 6 or 10 games that you didn't see enough playing time, at least to your estimation. Can you explain what that process is like? That transition from, you go from high school being the #1 ball handler, the superstar, you're scoring 16 to 30 points a game, whatever it is, right? What's that? And then you get a scholarship, you go to the NCAA, you get on that team, you find out you're finding yourself, you're trying to compete for that spot to be on the starting lineup. For you in this case, you say you didn't see a lot of playing time early on. What's that transition like? What's going on in your mental and in your emotions, and what would you say about that?
No, it's tough. It's tough because like you said, you've been kind of the guy, right? You've been able to be the guy in a lot of different phases. I think what kind of also helped with that, like when I was on the junior national team, I played on the junior national team as a captain, I was a leader on the team, but at the same time, we had a lot of talent on that team as well, right? And you didn't play that much. I didn't play that much. You put it that way in perspective, right? And I was going into college, so I kind of had a chip on my shoulder already. Where like, okay, when I get to college, I have to really, put the work in. I got to find a way. I got to find my niche. Right? I think I've always kind of been a defensive-minded player, even in high school. And I think in college, I took that even to another level. Like in high school, yes, I'm good defensively, but you want to score, right? Like there's a difference, right? You want to score. That's what gets you onto, that's what gets you recognition. That's what gets you MVPs. That's what gets you the accolades, right? Scoring the ball. Sure. In college, you want to play. I want to play. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to play.
Yeah.
And then it was defensively for me, right? I took pride in being able to guard the best player on any team we played on any given night, right? That was my task. I'm like, okay, I got to find a way to do that in order to play. And I got an opportunity I think it was against GW at home. I still remember, like, it was my first real game where I played double-digit minutes. It was at home against GW. Played well, scored a bit, but I really, defended well. And from there on, like, I started damn near every game, right? I think it's just being able to stay ready. I wasn't a powder. I wasn't somebody who was on the end of the bench like, coaches messed up. It's coach's fault. It's coach's fault. I wasn't that guy. Because like I said, I've had great coaches along the way where I was able to understand that it's, I have to I got to give you a reason to play me, right? So it's not necessarily the coach's fault. That was my perspective in college. And once I got an opportunity, I gave him a reason to play me. Coach Brodus, who's now my boss, who I work for now here at Morgan, I forced his hand, gave him a reason to play me, and he played me, the rest of the way.
And I think that goes to testament to your upbringing, going through the Eastern Commerce program, and how intense that program is. There's a lot of talent that comes through Eastern Commerce, and being coached by Coach Rana and Coach Jeffers, who we both know are intense coaches. And what would you say, being coached by them, what was it like, and how that helped you propel to be the best basketball player you were in so many areas as an offensive player, and obviously you taking off to being a defensive player in Binghamton University?
Absolutely. I think it goes back beyond that, right? I think the foundation of toughness was established early. I started playing like for Regent Park community, right? The community center, on the south side of Regent Park.
Right.
Started playing citywide, right? I don't know if the league still exists, but it was citywide. It was like you play for your community center, right? I think that's where the foundation started. And at that point, I was probably in the 3rd or 4th grade or 5th grade playing with Dwayne Spencer, who was the head coach of our citywide league, right? So we took pride in going up against the guys from Scarborough. We took pride in going up against, the guys from the West End or different parts of the city or different parts of downtown, right? We wanted to be tough. We wanted to be gritty. We wanted to be in your face, lock up, be intense. And that started early, right? And then, you move on, you're still playing for your community center during that time. And then you get to high school where now there's guys from different neighborhoods, right? So you're trying to that foundation, that those coaches, right, Dwayne Spencer and Kevin Jeffers, before I got to high school, kind of instilled in us. You carry that over to high school now, where you're playing for, some of the best coaches in the city, in the country, and now in the world, right? Randall's one of the best coaches in the world. But you're playing for these guys, and their approach to it is not, this is just high school basketball. This is a business. This is development for the next level. This is to win. We're winning. We're not here to participate, right? I think, being able to play for those kind of guys and them kind of laying the foundation or building on the foundation that was set prior to me getting to high school is definitely a reason why I think I took that approach of being able to stick with something and work at it and not seeing, they weren't the biggest, like, pat you on your back when you're not doing it. No, they're going to get on you, right? It wasn't like but at the same time, they embraced you, but at the same time, they really pushed you hard, right? Which I appreciate so much. And there's another reason why when I got to college and wasn't playing right away, I could, I kind of understood the process. And I understood that, I've been here before. I didn't play a lot in high school right away, right? I understand this. If I do what I got to do, it'll pay off. And it did.
Right. I think their coaching styles, coupled with, like, a lot of our high school games, like every single game was treated almost like a championship game. Like,
for sure,
the crowd was in the stands. They were always against us. And it was intense. So as you transition out of high school, you're getting recruited by multiple schools. Maybe you can touch on that. What were your visits like, and why did you choose Binghamton University to be the school that you wanted to take your talents to and earn an education from?
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously, I was, like you said, you're playing at the best high school in the city. You're winning a lot. You're getting a lot of coaches at our games, and this is before all the emphasis was placed on college coaches recruiting Canada. But Western Carolina, where you ended up going, recruited me. Oakland, Canisius, Binghamton, Nevada late in the game. But a lot of those kind of mid-major schools kind of recruited me. So I wanted to get it done prior to the start of my senior year. I wanted to go into my senior year already having my school, already knowing where I was going, not having to kind of play with the burden of trying to decide where I would be going at the end of the year. And I took Binghamton. It was my first visit. And I'm like, hi, I'm Binghamton. I don't really know the name, right? It's in a small place in New York. I think you went with me actually on my unofficial visit. Exactly. So we went. It was an unofficial visit.
Yeah.
It was me, you, Rana, and Mac, or me, you, and Rana.
It was Rana. Rana was there.
Yeah. So we, Coach Rana drove us up, and I'm like, I get on campus. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty nice. And I was shocked because it was like, it's Binghamton. They were recruiting me hard. Like, they were at every game, every AU game, they were at everything I was doing. They were there. They offered me first, and I took my unofficial visit there. And on the way back, I said, I'm going to Binghamton. So I took one visit. One college visit in August or September. It was one of those months, and I committed on my visit, and it was done. Like, the rest of the year, I could focus on getting better, focus on our season, focus on winning, try to go out with an officer championship. That was like my mindset the whole way. So it was a good fit. I don't regret it one bit. I mean, if I could do it again, I would probably do it the exact same way.
Beautiful. Was it that same year that you played on the junior national team?
Right. I
Or you
played on the junior national team 2 years. So the year before we qualified, we're the first team to qualify for the Worlds. So we won. We I think we finished top 4 or whatever in the FIBA Americas. That year it was in Texas, in San Antonio.
right?
Then the following year it was the FIBA Worlds, and we played in Serbia.
The following year would have been your
It, it was
okay.
it was my it was the summer going into my freshman year of college.
All right, so the
Yeah.
summer going in. What
Mm-hmm.
was that experience like, man? Representing Canada in a basketball jersey, going up
Mm.
against the world, China,
Yeah.
Nigeria,
Yeah.
France, Brazil, US,
Yeah.
etc.
It was amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I think a lot of people take it for granted, but there's a lot of pride that's associated with putting on that Canada jersey. You're representing your nation, right? You're representing your homeland. You're representing the basketball community, right? And obviously, Canada at that point, the only thing people spoke about was Steve Nash, right? Jamal McGlure, obviously the Eastern Commerce guy, but it was Steve Nash, right? He was really on the map during that time. But
Right.
Canada basketball as a whole was not. We were still kind of working our way up the ranks in getting that international notoriety. So it was great. It was a fantastic experience. We bonded great with our teammates. Me and you, obviously, Alwyn. We had 3 Eastern guys on the team. Me and you and Alwyn.
Yeah.
And then obviously we had 2 Pickering guys, DeVoe and Corey. Uh, obviously Kai. Yeah, Big Mo was there. So I mean, it was fun. Like we had a really good time. And then the competition was, if you think back at some of the guys, right? Bantam was there for France, Nicholas
Yes.
Bantam.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Um,
Dellavedova for Australia.
Patty
Uh,
Mills.
Patty Mills for Australia.
Yeah.
Who else was in that team? Team USA was loaded. They had everybody.
Loaded.
Michael Beasley,
Yeah.
DeAndre Jordan. Like I mean, Spencer Hawes. Their whole team are NBA guys, right?
Yeah.
Steph Curry was on the USA
Curry.
team.
Pat Beverly was on there too.
Pat Bev. So, and then just think about it. Like it was a great time. Boban was on Serbia. I don't know if you remember that.
Wow.
Boban, the 7 foot.
Yes, he was. I looked back in the pamphlet. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
there was
Yeah,
talent.
it was loaded, right? So it was a great experience. We were in Serbia for like a whole month. It felt like, so it was like we're traveling the world, playing basketball, having a good time. So it was good.
Beautiful. So you go off to college, Binghamton University. You commit, you immerse yourself. You move from Toronto to New York, upstate New York area. So you said it's a small town. What's that student athlete relationship or experience like? Being homesick? Did you feel that? Did you experience it? Did you feel like, how did that affect you in terms of your development as a person, like as a man? Did you have to grow up pretty fast? Kind of speak to some of those aspects that you don't really see.
Yeah, for sure. I think you do got to grow up fast, right? You got to be able to establish right away right from wrong. I grew up in a 2-parent household, which I understand is not common, especially for inner city kids. Like we grew up in government household, right? So to have 2-parent households is not that common. But I had 2 highly involved parents in my life. When I say highly involved, highly involved. You saw my dad at almost every one of my high school games. He was there. So it was like, and then to move away from that, now you're on your own. You're forced to grow up and really be able to determine right from wrong and kind of keep the same humbleness and mentality that you had at home in an environment where you're making a lot of the decisions on your own. So that transition for me, I felt was not hard because, like I said, I had a really good grasp of what's right and what's wrong. and kind of how to just do things the right way. But at the same time, it was fun. It's your first time away from home in a different country. I didn't get too homesick because I can get home if I really wanted to. It was 5 hours. I could hop on a Greyhound. A Greyhound might take 8 hours, but still I could get home. I didn't feel that homesickness. What I did feel was a culture shock coming from Eastern and Toronto, which is a melting pot of different races and cultures and all that, to now being in Binghamton, New York, where a lot of the times I can go to a restaurant or a store and I'd probably be the only Black guy there, right? So I think that part of it took a lot of adjusting and a lot of kind of getting familiar with. But all in all, I mean, it was a great experience.
Beautiful. Let's go on to the educational side of things. You studied sociology and then ended up with your master's in student affairs. Why did student affairs appeal to you? Why was aspiring to get a master's on your radar?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me initially was on the sociology side of it, right? Is coming from the inner city, coming from government housing, coming from some of the roughest areas in Toronto, right? Like a lot of the guys I played basketball with. You want to kind of understand the social side of it, the social economic side of it, right? The disparity in the ones who have and the ones who don't have, right? The haves and have-nots, right? So I thought that was interesting. So I went in that direction and loved it. I'm Congolese, born in the Congo, so I minored in Africana studies while I was doing that as well, and learned a little bit more about the African diaspora. And then after I graduated, or I was getting closer to graduating, I had opportunities to go play professional, but I knew that it wasn't going to be what I wanted, to in terms of being able to really make it a career. Right? It was that fork in the road where I'm like, okay, let's go play pro, to say that I played pro, because growing up and playing basketball, you want to do that,
Right.
or continue your education. And at that point, Binghamton was offering me a graduate assistantship where they'll continue to pay for school for free for 2 years and housing and all that kind of stuff, which was the equivalent of almost $60,000 a year, or going and playing and not making much and just being overseas and trying to figure it out. And I ended up saying I'm gonna stick with school. So I enrolled. I found a graduate program that I really thought was interesting. I had aspirations of being an athletic director or something along those lines. So I went to higher ed administration. So it was really the right path for me. Obviously, during the initial stages of while I'm in grad school, I'm like, man, I want to still play ball. I want to go do this. But at the same time, I was like, yo, stick with it. This is the right choice, and it worked out.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm glad you dug deep on that transitional period for you, like graduating, in the undergraduate with sociology, and then trying to figure out what you're gonna do. I know there was a mentor there in your life at that time, which was Rana, who kind of like gave his own perspective on what the market was looking like in terms of playing overseas, and you making that's a big decision for athletes who dream to be in the NBA or playing professional elsewhere, and not taking that route. You know what I mean? Not kind of pursuing that quote unquote dream, to pursue your education. And now I'm so happy that you're, an associate head coach at Morgan State and doing your thing. So proud of you for that. I have two more questions for you, then I'll leave you to be. You gotta talk to me about what that March Madness experience was like, man. Like I'm jealous, but I'm happy for you at the same time. What was that like?
It's I mean, to be honest with you, it is literally the best basketball moment of my life. There is nothing that compares to winning a championship, right? And then knowing that you've made it to the NCAA tournament. I know I think for smaller conferences like the America East where Binghamton plays in, um, we're a one bid league, right? So I feel like when you win that when you win your conference tournament championship and you know you're going to the NCAA tournament, there's probably nothing better than that. You know, there's a lot of bigger leagues where 8 teams get in. You know, if you don't win, you still get into March Madness, right? It's still a great feat. Don't get it wrong, right?
Sure.
You're one of the 64 best teams in the country at that point.
Right.
When you win your conference tournament and then you get into March Madness and the whole city, the whole town of Binghamton is going nuts, right? First time in school history. You know, the game is sold out. Everyone's in white. They rush the court, and you get to the NCAA tournament. It's there's nothing better than that. And on top of that, like the whole experience of March Madness, right? You get there and you guys take a private plane, just a team and the administrators to your location that you're going to play, and police escort everywhere. You know, you felt like you're the president, right? Like, I mean, you're not stopping for red lights. Everything is just top tier. It's also, to be honest with you, it's like another reason why in this coaching business, right? I've been there once. I've been and this is just a correct one earlier. I was at Binghamton for 5 years on the coaching side. Right. I'm actually going into my 10th season coaching. Right? It's crazy. I'm going 10 years.
10 deep.
Upcoming season is 10, right? So
beautiful.
For me, it's like that, and this is a horrible analogy, but I'm gonna use it anyways, right? They say it's like an addict, right? You get that fix that first time, right? And you search for it, right? And I got that playing. I got that fix of making it to the NCAA tournament, and I could still feel that initial feeling of getting to the NCAA tournament. And now this is in this coaching world, right? I look for it, right? That's what we try to do, is win and get to the NCAA tournament. And I think this year will be a good year for us to be able to do that.
Amazing, man. I'm hoping for you guys to make it to the big dance and make some noise and make a bigger name for yourselves at Morgan State. Last question for you. So looking back at your body of work, your whole journey, you know, as a young athlete, and Chretien Lukusa, you had dreams to be in the NBA, you had goals. What advice can you share, considering your journey, the ups and downs, what it takes to achieve in life, coupled with that person's endeavor in what they want to achieve in life?
Absolutely. I think to be honest with you, Kay, when we play basketball, if you're playing basketball, like competitive basketball, and you don't have the aspirations to make it at the highest level, which is the NBA or the highest level overseas, or play professionally, and I don't think you really love the game, right? I think when you play this game at a high level, from the grassroots level all the way through, you have aspirations of playing NBA basketball. And it's fine. I think you got to chase those aspirations and try to find a way to get there or maximize them. But you also have to be realistic and understand that that will not determine your success, whether you make it to the league or not. Right. I think, or make it professionally or not just NBA, because there's great basketball everywhere around the world. But I think you got to understand, right? And I think I mentioned this to you the other day, but I recently heard Kenny the Jet Smith, who a lot of people, might not look at his NBA career as it being like up there with some of the greats, but you got to understand he played in the NBA, has championships, right? And he was talking about how in the history of the NBA, in 76 years of the NBA, there's only been 5,700 NBA players. 5,700 NBA players in 76 years, right? That's 10-day contracts, right? Two-way contracts, 5,700. That's crazy.
And there's like 6-7 billion people in the world.
Right. And think about, like, you have so making it to, you got to be special. And we've come across some of those special talents, right? We've been fortunate to play with them, against some of them, Corey Joseph, Andrew Nicholson, right? So we've seen those guys in our high school time frame, right? But think about all the other guys who were like really, really, really good who didn't get there, right? And I think you got to understand that that doesn't determine your success. Whether it's you continue to play basketball, or you go into coaching, or you go into business, or you go into different ventures in your life. I think you got to understand that success, right? The basketball can give you a foundation, and give you the transferable tools and knowledge to be able to excel and succeed in different areas. So if you can use what you learn through basketball in whatever it is you embark on, I think you have a great chance of being successful in life. And I think you can hang your hat on that, right? Some people are going to make it to the NBA, very few. Some people are going to play overseas. Some people are going to work in business. Some people are going to work in as mechanics, high school teachers, whatever it is. But success is determined on how you do in whatever venture or area you go into. So that's where I would go with that.
Amazing, man. This is why I had you on this YouTube channel, The Transition. I'm so thankful to have you, Chretien Lukusa, because it's all about highlighting that journey and those major decisions that you had to make, to transition you from one aspect of your life and into another. And so I thank you for your transparency, and appreciate you, brother, man. I'm so proud of you, and all the best, man. Get that chip this year.
KK, I love you, my man. You know that, man. Obviously, our friendship means the world to me. So anytime, man, anything you need, just let me know.
Facts. Love you too, man.